Now, Cuban clarified, but we all remember the Kavanaugh confirmation battle. They think Trump supporters are kind of something out of The Handmaid's Tale, right? Right?
You know, it all started with Obama. We cling to God and guns and our religion. And then we were with Clinton, a basket of deplorables. And then with Biden, we're fascist, and now we're garbage. Look, the Dems are divisive. And Mark Cuban's comment, Laura, is a continuation of that divisive rhetoric. We're stupid, too. Anyone who supports Donald Trump, there aren't any intelligent women, except 5 hours later, there was so much pushback, given the number of women that you yourself identified in that terrific open, who were supporting Donald Trump. But what about all of the millions of women who were entrepreneurs and business owners and teachers and nurses and doctors? I mean, this is what the Democrats are doing. They are trashing women. They are trashing Trump supporters. And Kamala can stand back and say, oh, I would never trash a supporter of any candidate. But if Donald Trump is Hitler, or if Donald Trump is a fascist, what does that make the people who support him? We're Hitlerian. We're fascist. And so the comment that Trump always makes, which is, they're after you, but I'm just in the way, is so telling. Because they are criticizing us. This isn't just criticizing a politician. They're criticizing half of America, and it's not working. And honestly, Laura, it's beginning to tee off a lot of people.
Well, the New York Times judge wrote this about white female voters. The sting of Mrs. Clinton's loss and the familiar notes of sexism and racism that Ms. Harris has faced this election season may have mobilized many left-leaning white women to try to prevent history from repeating itself. So, Judge, they're already setting up the narrative that if Kamala loses, it's racism and sexism to blame. Clearly, they're not going to change their policies, and they're not going to blame their policies, again, if, in fact, she doesn't get to 270 electoral votes.
Well, you know what? They're right about one thing. It is about sexism. It is about the fact that they're allowing men in women's sports to destroy the dreams of young girls, to knock out women, to literally put them in locker rooms with young girls. Yes, that is sexism. They are destroying the dreams of young girls. And how about the women and the mothers that Kamala Harris and her team is allowing into this country, who are killing women and young girls? I mean, the damage that's occurring to women in this country. And the comment that Donald Trump made about protecting women, he made it very clear in the sentence that he was talking about illegals, which even Bill Clinton came out and said, had the Biden-Harris administration vetted these people properly, Laken Riley might not be dead, along with people like Jocelyn Nungary and Kayla Hamilton, and on and on. They are hurting women. They are destroying women. And if Donald Trump wants to look at protecting us from foreign wars and protecting us from sexism that kills us, and what's going on at the border from killing us, then God bless him. Let him protect us.
Judge, I just think it's hilarious and sad, and also telling, all three, that this is it. This is where the Democrats end up. After 4 years of Biden, really, this is now going to be 12 years of the Obama policies. 12 years. And all they can say for themselves at the end is abortion and you're Hitler. That's really it. There's nothing about I'm going to raise your standard of living. I'm not going to lock down the border. I'm not going to make sure that you can decide for whatever you want about your own transportation. Or it's not about a better life. It's about abortion, and it's about fascism. That's the Democrat Party. That's really optimistic.
You know what? It's nothing about, look, you know what? We feel your pain. Bill Clinton was smart enough to say when he was president, you know, I feel your pain, or I made a mistake, or whatever it is. They don't feel our pain. They despise half of America. How can she be a president for all of America?
They're happy. Sense. Yeah, I think they think it's just punishment for the American people. I think they think we need to come down a few notches in their books. Judge, always great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you, Laura. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.